Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Oh, I think I started that early. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 46 tonight, and I'd call this our first official show of 2014. We did a little CES recap last week, but this is first official show. New year, all sorts of hopefully fun things to come. And yeah, so I'm Kellen, your host. With me, Tim, Ron, Eric. Everybody say hi real quick.
Hello, everybody. Tim here.
Hey, it's Ron.
Hey, I'm Eric.
Yeah, no interruptions this time with no Dave on air.
Yeah, I was
Shout out to Dave. Yeah, so welcome in everyone to 2014. I know we're a couple weeks into 2014, but as you also know, Tim and I were at CES all last week doing that whole song and dance in Vegas. So if you didn't watch the recap show we did for that, you might want to do that, catch up on all that happened at CES. No Dennis Rodman stories this year, but we still had a good time as always. So let's see, what do we got going on this week? We've got Dennis Woodside giving Droid Life a little shout out. Actually, the Droid Life community comment section a shout out, which we thought was really cool. We also had an interview at CES with some Motorola execs that we finally transcribed and tossed out on the site this week. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about net neutrality, Google buying Nest, since there's apparently some hatred going on there that I don't fully understand. We ran a couple of polls about T-Mobile's ETF program. If you want smart bands, Beats Music is on the way. There's another version of the Moto G. I think we have like 4 versions or something now of the $200 or of a $100 phone. And yeah, so we'll whip through some apps and games as well. But let's start out really quick, just in case you guys didn't see the Dennis Woodside article. He got interviewed by Forbes. I believe it must have been at CES. Or maybe it was in London before they announced the Moto X arriving there. Anyways, they said, what do you look for when you want feedback, or how do you sort of take in feedback when you want to know about your products? And he basically said, I go to Droid Life. Well, he said Droid Life's a good site. Let me see. I should actually pull up the exact quote. He said Droid Life is a good site. The comments there, people can be brutal and they can be complimentary. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Well, people can be, and not that that's a bad thing or I have a problem with it, but people are honest. Let's just say people are honest.
People are brutally honest.
Which can be brutal at times.
I mean, some people are rude. Let's be honest with that.
Yeah,
let's not beat around the bush. People are mean.
Not everybody, the vast majority, but like there are rude commenters that exist on every website.
Oh yeah,
of course. And you take the bad with the good. There's a lot of great, passionate, very knowledgeable Android users in our comment base, and I love it. And that's how I got started. I love the comment section on Droid Life, so I'll always back up those guys, and they'll always be my BFFs. So that's it.
Yeah, look, we talk about how we have the greatest Android community around, and I stick by that. Look, Motorola CEO is calling out our site because all of you guys hang out in the comments all day long and chat about tech and be brutally honest, and you're complimentary, and you have fun down there, and that's cool. I don't think anybody else in the Android game has what we have as far as the community and the conversations and stuff that go on. It's something actually pretty damn special. So anyways, I thought that was cool. We wanted to make sure you guys saw that, because it's not like he was giving us love, the writers. He said the comments. In other words, all of you guys.
He doesn't care for the writing.
Yeah, it probably doesn't. All of you guys, participating is what he was pointing out. So very cool. Also, then, yeah, we had an interview with Motorola at CES. I was with Steve Horowitz and Bill Moss. Steve Horowitz used to work on the Android team, now works for Motorola, and Bill Moss is one of their corporate communications guys. But anyways, I ran through a whole bunch of stuff. I finally transcribed the thing. I haven't transcribed a 20-minute interview in a long time, and holy, does that take a long, long time. But anyways, if you guys didn't check out, what's that, Eric?
Professional transcribers.
Seriously, I was looking at software. I was gonna buy software just to transcribe
or something.
Yeah, I was gonna try to find something, and finally I just said screw it and did it. But so I talked to them about a bunch of things. Like I asked them, it was interesting actually. The first question I asked was, what was your favorite moment from 2013 for your company? And they didn't really have an answer. I think I totally threw them off. So Steve Harwood just started talking about, they've got some momentum going, and they've got new products, but there wasn't a specific moment. And later on in the interview, Bill Moss came back and goes, I just want to come back to that moment, because they actually had to think about it for a second. But they talked about KitKat upgrade coming out super early, and they sort of talked about details and how they did that. they also talked about Moto G just releasing that and how surprised they were at the reaction. I don't know that I was ever surprised about the Moto G reaction. When you release a phone that's sub $200, people are going to talk about it. So let's see what else was interesting from there. Did you guys have a chance to read through that at all? And it was kind of lengthy.
Yep.
Anything stand out? I asked them if Motor Maker's here to stay, and they said, yeah, we're really excited about Moto Maker. Natural backs. They didn't necessarily say there's more natural backs coming. They just said there's new materials coming. So that could be anything from new woods to metal to something else.
I don't really care for Motorola's lack of transparency when it comes to Moto Maker materials. I'm sorry, so I was waiting for wood. I was waiting for Motorola to release the wood backs. I know, right? I can't help it. I was waiting for them to release the wood backs for a long time. And me and Kellen were talking about it. We figured out that they were going to probably release bamboo first, since I was the only one that they were kind of was leaked or whatever. And we're like, okay. So who's gonna get the bamboo one? Because I knew I wanted something dark because I wanted to have a black base on my Moto X. And he was like, okay, I'll take one for the team. I'll get bamboo and you get ebony when that's released. I was like, okay, cool. He gets bamboo a couple of days later, and I'm still stuck with nothing. And it's ridiculous because I was the one who actually wanted a wood back. He was like, I'll take one for the team. And now it's totally a beautiful phone, and I'm super jealous. And life sucks.
It is. It is beautiful. Look at that thing.
That's a gorgeous phone.
It's pretty gorgeous.
It doesn't even look as good as it feels. It feels very good. And yeah, so I wish Motorola would stop teasing and start releasing.
Yeah, and I'd imagine I can say this since I was recording the entire interview, but in the audio or anything like that, you can't hear it. But when I asked them if there was new backs coming, Steve Horowitz pulled a phone out. It was a Moto X. It wasn't like some unreleased device. It was a Moto X, and he set it on the table, and it was a different wood. It wasn't bamboo. And it was a darker sort of reddish wood. I don't know if that was ebony. I don't really know my woods. Could have been rosewood. And he had a black face on it that kind of matched some of the darker textures. It looked really nice, but he didn't say what it was. He said, oh, he just kind of did like this, like this, and set it out. And I just went, give it to me.
It's really, it's really, I mean, it's not that they promised anything. They didn't say, we promise that we'll have all this, blah, blah, blah. But,
well, they did announce, like, they're going to be having new materials.
They did. So,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's as close as you can get, I guess.
I know. But, at least say, you know what, if you guys really wanted wood backs, pick up the bamboo, because we don't know the time frame on the other natural backs and all that, like, you may want to have to settle for bamboo. And I would have settled. I would have been like, all right, I'll get bamboo. Kellen, I'll take it for the team. And then I would have an awesome phone. But no.
Well, I think the larger issue, too, is if there are people that are waiting for wood, or they haven't necessarily limited it just to wood. They didn't really specify what other materials they would put on there, but, but if you're waiting for something else, like how far along the line are you going to have to wait? Like, it's going to be 6 months into this phone to where it's kind of like, maybe I should wait to the successor or something. Like, that's where it starts getting a little
that's the issue.
iffy.
Because now if they release any of the new wood backs, I'm not going to buy them because the Moto X is already too old in my book.
Well, and for you in particular, the Galaxy S5 is coming in a couple of months maybe, and a new HTC device. So, but it would be tough. I mean, the original Moto X was released in August, and September, October, November, December. We're like almost 6 months out. That's not that makes the device old, but when a device is 6 months old, there's always something new then. And I know there's always something new, but in the last year we kind of saw that cycle of phones slow down a little bit. So if you buy a Moto X now, you might be mad when the Galaxy S5 comes out a month later and has
it's amazing.
And Samsung actually does something amazing. Yeah.
Or if they release a successor to the Moto X and that includes those backs that you wanted or whatever else. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept the same or similar chassis now that they've got production up and running, and then just updated the internals, maybe updated the display or something like that.
Yep.
And just kept the same basic size and shape. I don't have any problem with that, especially when you can customize it like crazy. I think that was the big issue for a lot of people with the Galaxy S4 coming out and looking almost identical to the Galaxy S3. You put them down side by side, it's very difficult to tell the difference. And I think it's difficult.
No.
I think having there's an extra sensor on front, like that's.
No, that's not it. I mean, the 4 is a
square.
lot flatter. I mean, come on, man. Let's be real.
There's barely any differences. Let's be real. There are barely any. Like, it's not substantial difference between the Galaxy S3 and Galaxy S4 compared to like the 1X to the 1.
To the untrained
Complete
eye.
redesign.
To the untrained eye.
To anyone's
someone-
eye, like there are not a lot of differences. If you think that's a big difference, then you should be applauding Apple for the iPhone 5S, which I am not.
You're kidding.
No.
Come on, you're trolling me.
No, it's about the same amount of changes, really.
I would agree with both of you. There's not a lot of changes, but
Kellen,
if
how's
you
that?
know what you're looking at, you can see there's a lot of difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly on the back you can see a little bit more there, but it's subtle. It's subtle differences. But I don't even remember my own bloody point now. Basically, like, if you were a Galaxy S3 owner and you wanted to like maybe bump up to the Galaxy S4, there aren't a lot of aesthetic changes, and I think that's when and we talked about this like with our favorite phone or product for the last official show, and that was one of the things I mentioned is just like being able to customize the Moto X makes it so that like if it was in the same or similar chassis, like I think that would still make it attractive to people because they can customize it to their own, so it will look different. It'll be their own. And I think that's actually a really powerful thing because then that's going to help them on the manufacturing side because they'll be able to keep a lot of things the same and still give people what feels and looks like a new phone, and that's a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, for 2014 Moto X, they could give me the same exact phone, just probably up the display a little bit and put a better camera in there, and probably they'd obviously put a new processor with along with their X8 thing. It'd be fine. If it was the same size, I'd be perfectly happy again.
And even the same display, the display's not bad. I think the big issue is the camera. That's the big thing that everyone wants to see improved.
Yeah.
The display is not bad, but it could be improved.
Yeah,
That's all we're saying.
It's a little yellow, and
I don't need
anyways.
4K.
Well, but I think a big part of that is it's AMOLED. So maybe if they do some of the stuff that Samsung's doing, I didn't hear nearly as many people complaining about the S4.
The S4 AMOLED is crazy different than any other AMOLED. Yeah, the whites are white and it's not yellowish. Yeah, it's like its own AMOLED.
It's different.
That's awesome. Yeah. But speaking of that stuff, like that, what they would upgrade or things like that, during my little interview, they kind of stopped it and turned questions to me so I walked into this interview, right, and I'm like, I'm gonna record. I was like, is it cool if I record this? And they said yes, and so I had my notes on my Nexus 5, and then I was recording on a G2 because I was carrying a G2 around for the extra battery life during CES, and so they said, what would it take for us to get you to carry our product around? And so I had to say, like, I actually normally do. I'm just using this G2 in place of it because I need the extra battery life. But anyways, they said, what would you do? They said it's basically you have control. What do we need to improve on? What can we do to be better to get our product in your pocket? All that. And I basically said, just give us a really good camera because that's kind of what was terrible about your phone when you initially released it. But I'm curious, like, what you guys would think if Motorola asked you, what would you improve? Or to get their phone in your pocket, what would you say to them? Everyone's muted, by the way.
They're all chatting it up.
What would I want to see in an X2?
No, what would you improve about?
Would you change to make that your main phone?
Yeah.
Oh, the Moto X?
Could be the Moto X, or I guess it could be a new Moto X or something. What would they have to do to get their phone to be your daily phone, basically?
Gotta have a better camera. Step 1. Step 2, better camera. Then profit. Because everything about that phone, I think the Moto X is the perfect experience. I've said it time and time again. Can't say it enough. Love the Moto X. Camera, useless. And I'm on Instagram way too much to have a phone that can't do Instagram well. So even after the camera software update that took place a long time ago, I mean, it was okay, but nothing spectacular. I mean, it's not going to beat the G2 or Note 3 or S4 or even the S3. So, what can you do?
Camera.
Yeah.
Ron or Eric? Well, Eric, you have the Moto X. So you think you would need to change about it to keep Motorola in your pocket? Or are you just fully satisfied and you're going to keep Moto in your pocket anyway?
I think for me, the camera's serviceable. I mean, it can be better. For me, it takes decent pictures. The only things that I could think of that I would like to see in a Moto X2 or maybe a slight spec bump, but I mean, even that, all the stuff that I could ask for, the Moto X does pretty well as it is right now. So I'd like a better camera. Maybe I don't think I would like to go above a 720p display. I feel like keeping it 720p is their secret to really good battery life, because I get fantastic battery life on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to see is more Moto Maker options. Like, I was looking at it, like the front plate here, if you could find a way to make the bezel, like you could put your own design or image on there, like you upload it to Moto Maker and then they, press it on there and then put the glass on top of it. I don't think that would be that hard. I mean, I'm not in on their production techniques.
Not an engineer or anything, but
Yeah,
I feel like it's possible.
I feel like that could be really cool. That could set them apart. There's customizing the colors of certain parts like they have now, but it's a completely different thing to be able to upload your own image and then have it, on the front of your phone. I think that would be pretty slick.
Yeah, more Moto Maker stuff would be kind of cool.
Yep.
Ron, any way for Motorola to get you off the iPhone?
No, but
no, but
yeah, I mean, I wrote an article about why I'm on iOS, so people can read that and leave a comment if they want.
It better be hateful.
Yeah, really dig in. No, but I mean, I think from my own perspective, like Motorola did change the game in terms of what I was recommending for people. So normally I'd kind of begrudgingly recommend the S3, S4 in the early part of the year, because that was, it was on every single carrier. I knew what kind of device they were going to get, and if they had questions, I knew I could help them out with that. I knew it was a good all-around device, but I obviously didn't like it. It wasn't my preference. So with the Moto X, like having that available on all carriers, knowing that it's got a really great close-to-stock experience, and that the ways that they change the software are ways that are really helpful and neat. I think that was the big thing, where it's like, these are things that like I can, like if I want to meet up with a friend, or like I did with my brother, like I met up with him and just said like, hey, like let me just show you this, and I can like show you all the ways that this is like gonna be helpful for you regular day-to-day life and how you're using your phone. It's a active display and shaking to turn the camera on and all that kind of stuff, and how big the display was, yet how small the device is in your hand. Like being able to demonstrate those things right away, it was great. So I mean, like everybody else has said, the only thing that really changes the camera, because that is like,
it's kind of painful.
Like I just don't.
Ron's upset, clearly.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's hard, because I don't know, like especially now, like I'm taking more and more pictures. Like my Dropbox is filling up very quickly. And that's just like from having a nephew and like having lots of family events and things like that. Like that's only going to get worse as time goes on. Like as I have my own kids and things like that, like you start taking more pictures. So having a really great camera that I don't have to fuss with, that just works. That's another really big reason why I use an iPhone, is because the camera is great on it. Works really well, works consistently. And so being able to recommend that to people that do want to use Android, and being able to say like, hey, when you get this, like the camera's going to work great, it's going to take great shots, you're not going to have to fuss around with it, you're not going to have to edit it later, like it's going to take a great shot right away. That's a big deal. I think doing I forget what it's called, but twisting so the camera
it's like
starts
a quick
up.
action camera or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, like doing that, I think is great, huge, big step, because it's being able to capture moments right away is huge, but you got to have quality sensor and you got to have quality software. I don't know that we can totally place the blame on either one necessarily. I don't think we really know for sure what the deal is, but that's got to be something they're working on. If that means they need to hire people that are better with photography or whatever else, like they need to get that right. And on top of that, I think the other thing that I would say is continue with the software optimizations that they're doing and little augmentations, because I'd really like to see the Moto X succeed in a way commercially that it didn't over the last 5-6 months. It's definitely gotten a lot of press attention, but we haven't necessarily seen sales to represent that. So I don't know what that'll take. I think they had really great, innovative advertising campaign. I think they did a good job with that, but whatever else they can do to continue to augment that. I mean, some of those commercials were hilarious, like just with the active display stuff and all that. So I mean, being able to improve that and see if there's a way for them to communicate to people like, hey, this is why you should trust us as a company, and to get this specific device because it's going to be able to do these things. I think they've got features that can show that kind of thing. So it's just a matter of them fine-tuning that and working out those kinks.
Yeah, I mean, I basically told them just do more of the same, but put better cameras in. And they kind of didn't say much when I said you need to do better cameras, so maybe they're working on that. I don't really know what to take from that, but.
So what we're saying is if they put a marginally better camera in it, or not marginally, but a good step up in camera, and then a few other nuts and bolts here with a lot of other Moto Maker options, that we would all buy a new Moto X.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously it depends on what Samsung does, what HTC does. But yeah, I mean, I'm still using the Moto X, even though the camera is, subpar. But yeah, battery life's great. I can deal with the display just fine. It does things still with active display that nobody else does, which are like my favorite things. So, and that whole quick capture camera wrist thing. At first, I just thought that was kind of a gimmick. I actually use it all the time.
Yeah, I told you guys. I was like, "That's a pretty good thing," and you guys were like, "No, that's." I'm not a fan. I'm like, you'll eventually get there. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people laughed at just having to do this like wrist gesture to launch your camera, and I definitely like kind of poke fun at that, but I use it all the time now. It's so easy. I don't have to hit any buttons. I just do this little flick, and it works better. I think they fine-tuned it a little bit over the last few months. So, all right. Anyways, so yeah, that was an interview with Motorola. It's all transcribed. Feel free to check that out. Do you guys want to talk about this whole net neutrality ruling? Have you guys followed any of this stuff? You guys haven't been following it. Ron probably has been.
I mean, we've been keeping up on it.
I don't know that there's much to say. Like, if you've read our article, that's really all there is to say about it. It looks like the FCC might have to resubmit some stuff and change the language a little bit. I don't think it changes anything. There's potential danger there, but I mean,
potential danger.
Yeah, there's potential. It's the same thing with AT&T sponsored data. Basically, those are some of the risks that we could see if this becomes the policy. But there's no indication that that's necessarily going to change immediately.
I don't know if it was Verge level crisis like they were writing.
They were kind of freaking out, which is fine. Because there's Nilay, and Nilay used to be a lawyer, so he's going to be a lot more. He's going to hit on that stuff a lot, a lot more heavily.
Yeah. So basically. Verizon, so the FCC wants the internet to remain open and not let anyone control what you're viewing, when you're viewing, how fast you're viewing, all of that stuff. And Verizon says, no, we built this big-ass network. We should be able to do kind of whatever we want with it. And so in an appeals court, Verizon essentially won this last time, and FCC is going to have to rethink the way they go after it. And Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, I think Time Warner, all these companies came out and said, even though Verizon essentially won this appeals today anyway, or yesterday, we're going to remain open, and we're committed to an open internet, and yada yada yada. I mean, look, if this thing ends up being the FCC has no power to control any of that, I don't think it's going to be an open internet. I just don't. These companies want to make money, and they put billions and billions of dollars into these networks, and if they can make money off of the way you experience the internet, they're going to do it. Look what they did with tiered data. Look what they've done with every single thing we've essentially experienced in TV or wireless. So,
well, I think it's about time we let them start making a return on their investment. So I'm all for it. I'm going to sign a White House petition. Stop the FCC.
Petition.
Back.
Yeah.
I'm
so that's going down. There's obviously the FCC can appeal again, and like Ron said, they can go back and sort of rethink their approach to it. I believe they could reclassify some things or categorize some stuff.
I forget what the actual terminology was, but that was the Verge's report. And go read the Verge's report. It's huge and giant, but very informative.
Pretty good job on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically it comes down to the way the FCC submitted things. I forget the actual terminology now, but the way that they worded it was what made the judge rule in Verizon's favor.
Right. So yeah, the end has not arrived. There's plenty of time still for this all to work itself out, and but you should be aware of it, and we will continue to follow it. When big things happen and things like that, like if you need to sign a petition or something.
I'll let you know. Don't worry.
Tim will let you know on the petition front there.
It's kind of covered.
Yeah. So let's talk about Google buying Nest. This came across the wire out of nowhere yesterday. So Google is going to buy Nest, who makes home thermostats and now smoke detectors, which I have in my house, and I love Nest. $3.2 billion they are going to pay for them, and I think it's cool. I thought most people would think it's a pretty cool deal because, well,
But
obviously,
apparently not.
yeah. So Google and Nest both said we're going to be separate. Nest kind of played the we're like Motorola card, I think, a little bit. We're separate and we're still going to do cool things, but now we have Google backing us, so we can push out to new markets and do all these cool things and all that stuff, right? And then this backlash came through, and people are returning their Nest now because Google's going to put Google Plus on their Nest and steal all their data, because Nest has been super protective about, well, I don't think they even store user information, do they, or something like that. But everyone thinks now because Google is all about the data, that's going to change, and your thermostat's going to spy on you and serve ads and stuff like that. And I guess we don't know, but I think people are overreacting a little bit. It's just my personal opinion.
I can't remember whose link I followed, but he had gathered a bunch of tweets from around the internet of people who literally said they were going to rip them out of their walls.
Right.
I'd love to see that.
And I saw people saying Apple should have bought them, not Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did. I think it was Recode, which is the replacement for All Things Digital.
All Things D. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw in their report that Apple wasn't even in the bidding.
Right.
So there were other people potentially looking to buy them, but Apple's not there. And there have been people asking if Apple's going to stop selling Nest in Apple stores. There's a reason to stop doing that. They can keep making money by doing that. So I don't think that really bothers them that Google owns them.
No.
They may not restock them if there's some sort of a future update with some sort of Google integration. I could possibly see that, but
yeah, I think it's cool for Nest because it gives them more power, gives them more money, more whatever they want, and they can keep making cool products.
Oh, and it gives Google access to Tony Fadell. I mean, so in case people may not know this, but Tony Fadell was a major player for getting the original iPod out. So a lot of the design for, I think, the first 7 generations, and I think he also helped with the iPhone as well. So he must have been there from 01 to 07, maybe a little bit later, before he retired and then came back because he was trying to figure out how to do thermostats in his house, and they were all terrible, so he decided to make them better. So kind of similar to John Rubinstein, actually, who was also Apple and then Palm and then HP and now retired again. But I think that's another big thing, like seeing somebody that has that kind of history and experience with making products, and especially since Google has been trying to get into the home a little bit more, and that's where some of those concerns are coming from, which I get. Like, Google isn't necessarily known for respecting people's privacy, and so I can understand like having something that's as invasive as determining when you're home, when you're not home. Like, there are potential issues there. And I think Tony Fadell said in one of the interviews that they're somewhere in between Motorola and YouTube. So YouTube is basically like all Google now, and Motorola is allegedly separate. There's a firewall between the companies, whatever that means. So somewhere in between there certainly wouldn't, I don't think, alleviate any fears of people that are worried about Google, like knowing when they're home, when they're not home. Like, there are potential risks there if you don't trust Google. And I think the more interesting thing about this, and I'm pretty sure it was John Gruber that wrote about this, but just how,
my buddy Gruber.
I love John. I really do. I read his site every day. But I think there are some, like how like 5 years ago, Google buying them would have been like really exciting for a lot of people. They would have been really excited about Google because Google was a company that everybody was excited about. They make great products, everything else like that. They weren't known as being a company that has potential privacy issues. And now that's changed. That's changed over the last like 2 years, where it started to kind of change how people think about Google, how people talk about Google. Just that there's some risks there with how much data they have and how they're using that data. Especially, I really think the tide changed with Google now, when that really showed what they could do with all the data that people have, when people started realizing, like when I use Gmail and when I use Google Search, they get a ton of data out of me. Plus all the ads that they serve all over the place. Like, there's a ton of data that they get, and I think that's when that started to kind of shift. I don't know that everybody's super comfortable with that idea. There a lot of, obviously, most people are still using their products. I don't think there was a large exodus, but that's when that started to change. And I think there is at least some cause for concern to say, okay, well, what Fidel said, that they're not going to change their terms of service or anything else like that, but at least immediately. But like,
right. obviously things can change. Yeah.
Things can change, and being able to have some sort of control over, okay, well, what does this mean, at least in the future, for future products? I doubt they'll do anything with the current Nest, but for future products, what is this going to mean for having, it was originally the Android at Home initiative, and whatever they decide to call that in the future. Obviously, nothing's really happened with that, but, what does it mean for Google to be in your home? What kind of information they're going to have access to? And are there privacy risks? Because that, even if it's not from Google, like if you get hacked, what kind of access will people have to you and information about you? Like, there's all sorts of major things when you start putting that information somewhere in the internet.
Yeah, not to completely change subject, but is the privacy worry because there's talking heads on the internet that make a big deal out of it? Like when I showed my parents Google Now and it started telling them when their flight was coming, they thought it was the coolest thing ever, and never once did they say, "Oh my God, Google knows everything about me." I just wonder. I personally don't. That stuff doesn't bother me. I know a lot of people it does. And if Google somehow works its way into Nest, and my Google Now is now controlled by Nest because it knows when I leave the home and turns my Nest off or something like that, that's awesome. I guess I'm not worried, but I know there's people on both sides of the fence there, but I just wonder if all this privacy stuff that people freak out about is just because there's a set number of talking heads on the internet that make it a bigger deal than it is, or should we really be that worried? I don't know.
Well,
I just get sick of talking about privacy all the time.
I think Google had the unfortunate timing to have that, like Ron said, Google Now, kind of line up with them getting slapped on the wrist for their Wi-Fi scanning, and then all of that NSA stuff that's been coming out over the past year, I think has really just kind of
NSA stuff, this latest Google Plus thing.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't think a lot of the fears come from, oh crap, what does it mean if Google has my data? Just like, what does it mean if the NSA has my data? Because it's a giant corporation or government agency, and so like it's hard to pinpoint. Like, well, does that matter if like a certain human has it? Like, we haven't really had to deal with what that means, what the repercussions are for that. I think the larger issues are, one, hacking. Like if somebody gets into your account, and we all know most people aren't using like two-factor authentication or anything else like that. So if somebody gets into your account, what kind of data are they going to have access to, and what dangers are there? I think that's the big, huge issue. And two, I think the other thing is that Google seems to be kind of cavalier with people's privacy. So like with this latest Google Plus or Gmail, depending on what side you want to do it, update, where the default was, hey, anybody that on Google Plus can email you, like
that was kind of ridiculous.
And the fact that it's opt out, like it's just automatically you have to go in there and change your settings. Like that's absolutely insane, bonkers. Like they seem to be a little loose with what it means to like protect people's data, protect people's privacy. Like they have a history of doing that, and Eric mentioned some of the other history with that, with the Wi-Fi scanning and all that. Like those are the issues that people have concerns with, and so inviting a company that has that history, that very public, blatant history about how they deal with privacy and how they deal with people's data, that's a big issue. Like, and I think from those two perspectives, like that's where there is some legitimate concern, and we'll see how Google handles it. We'll see what it means if they're somewhere in between YouTube and Motorola. Like that doesn't even mean like nobody's even totally sure what it means for Motorola.
No one even knows what that means.
Really, how separate they are. So we know that Fidel is reporting straight to Paige and Bryn. So I mean that's fine.
Fidel?
That's great.
Castro. All right. Well,
not in my Google.
That's bought by Google.
We know Google's working on software for a product like that, right? They were doing that Energy Sense thing that leaked a couple of weeks ago, and the UI for Energy Sense looked identical to the Nest app. I mean, it was a little more cartoonish. Yeah, and it's Android at Home stuff. So we knew they wanted to get into this arena. I guess I was surprised that they bought Nest, but it looks already, if this Energy Sense thing, it looks identical. So I would imagine maybe the next gen Nest is going to run their version, is going to run this Energy Sense or something like that. Otherwise, I don't know why they would. You don't just buy Nest and let them continue to run their own proprietary stuff. That doesn't make any sense, I don't think.
Unless their stuff's better.
That's true, but I think they would, make it their own. While it could be based off of Nest stuff, I think it would have to become either Android or something completely googly. I'm not sure. Otherwise, I don't get it. Why do you buy a company? Like Motorola is an extension of Google essentially now. I know there's a firewall there, but
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I think having Tony there, I'll say Tony instead of his last name. Like I think having him there, like on the team, like he said, I think it was in the Verge's interview with him, with Neil's interview with him. I think that he said there that he's there for the long haul. Like he's not leaving after the acquisition.
He's like, I don't want to retire. I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, like this is what he wants to do. So like, and that's like a lot of times companies will buy other companies because of the talent that's there, and like Tony's very, very talented. He's got a talented team there. Like the fact that they've been able to do this and uproot that whole industry is pretty crazy. So like I think there's a lot of talent there for getting those types of devices into homes that people like, that people want to use. Like that's a big deal. Like wanting to rip out your current thermostat. Like that's not something people think about normally. Like that's just not a normal thing. So the fact that they're able to do that, I think Google sees a lot of potential there to be able to do some of this thing. And we're seeing Google like shift to this, right? Like they started as a search company and then slowly became a services company. And now they're kind of slowly turning into a hardware company where they're putting out their own hardware between the Chromebook Pixel and the Nexus Q didn't get out there. But, you know, they bought a manufacturing company. Now they've got another one. Like they're moving towards this. They're working on cars and things like that. Like they're on their way to putting out products for people that are going to tie into those services. And I think that's their future. That's where they're going. I think Nest is a great buy for them to continue to do that, but that doesn't mean there aren't concerns.
Right. Hopefully it also means that they will take the Nexus 5 price approach to Nest and drop like $150 off the price so that everyone can own one.
Yeah, because how much are they right now? You own them.
I think they're $300.
Yeah, for one.
That's
the thing.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to look now. And the Nest Protects I bought two, and I think they're 200. Oh, so the Nest second gen is $250, and the Nest Protects are $129 a piece. So yeah, they're definitely not cheap.
No.
But they are awesome if you want to splurge on home stuff like that. So anyways, that happened, and yeah, people are what's that?
It's a lot of talk about a thermostat.
It is a lot of talk about a thermostat.
It's a smart thermostat. God, Eric. If you don't like it, you go.
See the whole word.
Yeah. All right, so T-Mobile at CES went through this whole big thing, and John Ledger, we talked about this a little bit last week, but he stood on stage and cussed everyone out and said, yes, we're going to pay your ETFs, your early termination fees if you leave AT&T, Sprint, or Verizon and come to us. We'll pay up to $650 to have you come to us. $300 of that would be trading in your phone, and the other $350 could be $350 per line, depending on how much your early termination fees were. So we ran a poll. We said, are you going to take them up on their offer and jump to T-Mobile? And let me look at the most current results. 53% said nope. 27% said yes, I'm switching, and 20% had already switched before that. So, yeah, pretty split. Let's see. Eric, you're with Verizon. Tim, yeah. I don't know what you're doing these days, Tim. Ron, you're with Verizon.
Just sort of roaming.
Any thought about taking them up on their offer? I know we've talked about their coverage a little bit. Ron, I think you said their coverage sucks around you, or is it okay?
It's actually pretty good around me.
Oh, it's not bad around you? Okay.
Yeah.
But anybody think about taking them up on that offer? Paying ETFs, trade in phone?
I'm all about the prepaid now, so I don't do those contract things.
Prepaid game.
Yeah, they don't have contracts, man.
Yeah, it's not contract anymore, Tim.
Uncarrier, man.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just saying I don't have an ETF for them to pay, so no, I'm not taking them up on the deal.
Yeah.
Let me.
Well, but they potentially buy off any device you have stuck on a contract if you have any on contract.
I do not.
No contracts for Tim.
It's enticing.
My Verizon contract ended in December, thank God.
Well, yeah, Eric, because are you with a family plan and you could potentially be going out on your own soon? Are you considering T-Mobile then?
Shared data pool right now with the rest of my family.
Ooh.
How many gigs you guys split?
I think 6 or 8. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's right, because a rep conned your mom into it or something, right?
Yeah.
Pulled the wool over our eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be excited, or I'd be interested in thinking about it.
You'd get unlimited data again.
I would get unlimited data again.
Throttled unlimited data.
More research into how the network is down here in Bloomington, because there's not even a T-Mobile store in Bloomington here.
Oh, really?
That's
crazy. I would be careful.
Yeah.
What you should do is get one of those whenever they actually. I'll send you one. I have like 5. The T-Mobile prepaids where you can sign up for the $30 a month plan. Just do it for 1 month and see how your coverage is, and then you can kind
Well,
of
I need
decide.
a phone to do that first. I've got the SIM cards, but I don't have a phone to put them in.
Okay, I'll send you.
So, yeah, that'd be fun to test.
Test it for a while, yeah. So you're considering it, Ron?
Yeah, we'll see.
Considering it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely looked at it. I double checked the coverage maps and everything else like that.
Because you're on a family plan, right? So
Yeah.
you would have to go to 2 individual lines, essentially, right?
Yeah, with my wife and I. Yeah. So, yeah. So I mean, I looked at it. The big concern is my main day job right now. I basically drive 50 miles either direction. So I'd have to have good coverage everywhere, basically. You know, like the whole inland valley. So that's kind of a larger concern, and I can't necessarily guarantee that. So that's a big issue. The other issue is, well, that's really the only issue. It's just that coverage.
That's what it always comes back to with them, right? It always comes back to coverage.
Yeah, I mean the price would be, you know, that'd be a big difference, and I like that my bill would go down once I pay off my device. Like I like a lot of the things they're doing. It's not an option right now. Maybe an option in the future. But then the other issue is, you know, how long are they gonna have unlimited data for? You know, and they're making pretty crazy moves, which is awesome, and it's cool to see. But I don't know that some of those things, specifically unlimited data. Not that I'm on a family plan now, so that's a big deal. But like I said, the coverage is the big thing, and that should be the big thing for everybody. If you're on AT&T or Verizon, like, make sure you've got great coverage before you do it, and you know, anywhere and everywhere you go, because not having coverage really stinks.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a good majority of 2013 on either AT&T prepaid or T-Mobile prepaid, and definitely ran into some coverage issues. And so when I bought the Bamboo Moto X, because I didn't have a Verizon Moto X, so I figured I would do that. And so now I've been back on Verizon for, I don't know, whenever this thing came out, a month ago, for a month, maybe a month and a half. And it's been really nice. Verizon's coverage is better than everyone's. I mean, it just is. Their data speeds aren't necessarily the fastest, but I'm also not running speed tests every day and downloading stuff. Right. So that stuff, but the coverage is always there. And I couldn't necessarily say that ever with AT&T, T-Mobile. I always ran into a spot here and there where I just didn't have coverage. So.
Yeah, and I gotta say that's been my, you know, I drive all over Southern California. That's been my experience too. I very, very rarely do not have coverage. If I do, it's for some weird, crazy, you know, reason. So, and the other thing too is, like, not only do they have coverage in your area, but how good is it? You know, and so if you go look on their coverage maps, like, that's one thing, but it's really difficult to, like, actually test out, like, if that's legitimate, because you might have, like, great, you know, 4G coverage, but that doesn't mean that you've got, you know, great speeds going up and down. So those are, but if you can afford to do, I mean, if you can afford to do prepaid or whatever and just try it out, like, they've really removed a lot of the barriers to at least try them out.
Right.
Especially if you're on AT&T. AT&T said they buy people over from T-Mobile. So, like, especially if you're on AT&T, you could switch over for a couple months and then switch back, and you'd be fine.
Yeah, and Ledger mentioned that in his press thing when he was on stage. He said, AT&T made this easy for us. He said, they're going to pay for you to come back, so you might as well come over and try us out. Yeah, pretty funny stuff. Yeah, I mean, when they announced Uncarrier 1.0, when they were getting rid of contracts, I think was 1.0. The thing I wrote up then was, this is awesome what you're doing, T-Mobile, but unless your network improves, no one's going to care. Yep. And when we ask people if they're interested in switching to T-Mo, in the comments, that's what they always say is, no, the coverage is terrible. The coverage is terrible. I can't do it because the coverage. So I hope that's Uncarrier 5.0 is somehow we built 10,000 new towers in rural areas or something. Yeah. I don't know.
And they're continuing to work on their network, which is great.
They are.
It's also worth noting.
If they get more subscribers, they'll get more income, which means they'll be able to build it out even more. But there's only so much spectrum, and you know, it takes a long time to build that out. We saw how long it took Verizon to push that out with LTE alone, because it takes, and that's with a huge, you know, Verizon's huge compared to T-Mobile. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work and a lot of money.
Yeah, T-Mobile's doing cool things though. Their network is pretty damn advanced. You know, they've had HD voice for quite a while, and AT&T just announced that
I think they've had it for a year.
Yeah, so they've had that for a long time, which I don't think a lot of people talk about or know. They're moving up to their wideband LTE pretty soon, and every T-Mobile phone that has LTE can access that once it goes live in their network. And they made the comment during their press event that Verizon, said they're building up or beefing up their LTE networks in all these cities and stuff because it's so bogged down, but you have to have a phone that can access their AWS spectrum, and most phones on Verizon, well, I shouldn't say most, but any phone purchased probably before mid-2013 can't access Band 4, and so even though they beefed it up, you're still stuck on their regular LTE network. So, T-Mobile's doing some cool things. They're kind of fun to cheer for right now because they're bringing new subscribers over and they're kind of flipping the bird to everyone. But yeah, if they can't build up their network.
Yeah, and we should probably say, because we've been mentioning a lot of caveats, but like if you do have good coverage with T-Mobile, like you'll probably save money going with them. So if you want to be on a major carrier and like T-Mobile has good coverage in your area and the speeds are good, like do it. Like get off of show at least for the minimum like of making a point and showing these other carriers that like, hey, like this is something that people want. We want phones. They've got a great phone selection. Even if you want to buy not through them, like almost every phone works on them with all the bands and everything else like that. So if you buy it unlocked, even if it's just to make a point and say like, hey, this is where we want the phone market to go in the future. Like if you can do it, go do it.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch.
It's also worth noting, I was trolling around.
Go for it. Sorry, Eric.
You there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I was looking around Twitter yesterday, and it said T-Mobile responded to somebody and said that it can take up to 8 weeks to get your ETF termination check from T-Mobile. So don't expect that money right up.
They will give you instant credit up front for your trade-in, though, I think, is what they're doing. So they're at least doing that. But yeah, the ETF thing, that makes sense. That stuff's got to take a while to process, but yeah, good stuff. And it's been interesting to watch AT&T react to them, dumbly react to them. Like, just don't. When a troll is trolling you, like the last thing you do is react. You just don't, because it makes it. It's just fuel. And so AT&T needs to stop playing their game and trying to beat them to the punch with ETF things and all that stuff. And Verizon, I can't remember what Verizon and Sprint said during CES. Somebody interviewed them and they said something, and it was John Ledger just laughed. But anyways, let's see. We ran another poll, asked about if anyone's interested in smart bands. I think Eric, you wear a Fitbit, right?
Yes.
And I still have this terrible Nike
hint of a review coming down the road here in the next couple days.
Yeah, review for that. Ron, Tim, do you guys want smart bands? Tim, you've worn a Nike Fuel Band in the past, but do any of these? Oh yeah, you love that Razer Naboo thing, so you are interested.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested. I like because it takes the good parts of a smart watch, like the notifications from texts and calls and all that, and just puts it in a more a cheaper package. Or at least we're hoping cheaper. Developer units going for $50. I mean, I'm guessing the retail will be like about 100, 150 tops, and it's a nice little band. And, it's kind of like a Fuel Band in looks. It's just very minimal, not very like, look at me, and like a Galaxy Gear is or something like that, And, so yeah, Razer Naboo, that's what I'm waiting for. And I like the idea, if they're cheaper, that means you can expect higher adoption rates, at least hopefully from consumers. So if your friend, if someone, your friends have it, you can do like cool hand gesture stuff, and like there's a lot of built-in little things, hopefully that you'll be able to get to experience when other people buy it, and just really looking forward to that. So hopefully it all goes off without a hitch.
Ron, have you dabbled in the wristband, fitness band, any of that stuff? Are you interested in it now that you're seeing all these new ones coming out?
No, yeah, I mean, the only thing I was remotely interested in was Pebble's announcement, and I thought it was kind of disappointing. So
same Pebble, just metal.
Well, Well, I mean, the one thing that they did, which I think was great, was make it glass front instead of plastic, because mine is scratched to hell.
Yeah, I think everyone's is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the one big thing that they did address. I don't think that the face looks better. I don't like having the Pebble logo beneath that.
That's what I said. I was like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah, Tim did say that at CES. He goes, what's with the giant Pebble logo on the front?
You gotta get their brand out there, man.
I guess so.
Come on,
yeah, I mean, I guess, but I don't think it looks good. I thought the I don't know, what do you call this, wrist. What do you call the band? I guess.
Band.
Yeah. I thought
The
those
links?
looked
Those would be
fine.
links.
Yeah, I thought those looked fine, but I mean, the big thing that I really wanted was, I wanted, like I said, glass. Basically, the same design would have been fine if they would have done glass. Maybe a little bit better battery life. Mine isn't great, and I'd love to have a higher resolution screen because some of especially if you have like a second hand going along on like an analog watch
really
face, it doesn't look great.
No, it doesn't.
So double the resolution, and but this, it's like you're paying $250 for basically the same thing with a glass watch face, and you have to have that stupid logo underneath there. So I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, we did order a black one, so we'll take a look at it. See if
real quick though, since we're on the topic of wristbands, I want to give a little hint about the review before it goes the next day.
Exclusive.
Are you going to show off your burned, melted?
No, yeah. See,
wrist?
I don't have any problems. I'm pretty sure that people are just allergic to something in the band and didn't know up until they started wearing it, and now it's all Fitbit's fault.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was going to talk about Bluetooth 4.0 being absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I've installed the Fitbit app on my Moto X, and you can either have it to where you can sync every time you turn the app on with your wristband, or you can have it just do updates in the background. And I turned that on, and I haven't had battery problems with my phone or my wristband since I got the thing, which I think is like insane. I used to hate having Bluetooth on for anything because it would just destroy the battery, and to see that it, I don't have to charge this thing for like 4 days at a time, that just blows my mind. So really excited with how Bluetooth 4.0 is going so far.
I'm with you on that. I just leave Bluetooth on all the time now because when I get in my car, it pairs, and then I was wearing a Pebble for a while, so it was pairing with that. So yeah, Bluetooth LE 4.0 is great.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's battery life like on that Fitbit? You said 4 days or so.
Well, I mean, I really haven't gotten to the extent of it yet. I've had a couple issues, and they have kind of petered out where I'm not exactly sure what happens, but either the Fitbit app on my phone or the Fitbit itself something messes up and they start not being able to communicate. And when that happens, the battery will die within like 8 hours.
Okay.
But if that doesn't happen, I haven't gotten even below halfway battery since I have it, and I've had it since Christmas. So,
yeah, I'm interested to see your review because Fitbit's one of those things I've been considering but haven't pulled the trigger on.
So far, I'm very impressed with it.
Yeah, I will say that sort of what Tim said with notifications on a smart band and things like that, I think at this point I'm almost leaning towards I'd rather have a smart band than a smart watch, because then I can wear my regular watch and then I can have a smart band that does fitness and stuff on the side but also will show me notifications and not take up, because I just don't like any of the smart watches right now. No one's really created the ultimate smartwatch yet, so smart band, if you can do one for $100 or under $100, and it'll show me the things I want, like notifications or incoming calls or whatever, that stuff, that simple stuff, that could be kind of fun. So.
Well, I think the Fitbit's in a good spot between the smartwatch and the smart band. I think, or the Force at least. If you go with the Flex, which is like their, kind of smaller version, I feel like that's more towards the smart band. But the screen on this is actually pretty useful. So you just have to it's kind of annoying to hit the button to, scroll through everything. But I like it a lot.
What's useful about it?
About the
screen? You said it's useful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not one of the people that gets mad having to press the button once to check what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Moto Active with that little wrist shake that they had.
Oh, yeah.
And Pebble does that too, the little wrist thing.
Yeah.
Galaxy Gear.
I don't mind, tilting my wrist and then hitting the button once to look at the time. And keep track of your steps, your calories, all that stuff in real time.
Does it show notifications on there? I thought for some reason that one did.
Okay. It's going to do that with iOS.
That's not a smart band then.
With iOS, damn it.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's more. I mean, the Fitbit's more of a fitness band, not necessarily a smart band. Yeah.
Unless you're on iOS.
Yeah, apparently, unless you're on iOS.
Well, everything's smart on iOS.
I mean, I like the screen for how it's used now, but I wouldn't want to read like a notification on there.
But what if it just gives you a little kind of a ding that said, "Hey, you have an email or you have an incoming call," just like a little. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but I just don't think that's a good. Like, I think we need to change the way that we think about smartwatches because you just can't do anything with that notification. Like,
No, you can't.
All I need is a message, an indicator, an icon telling me I have a notification on my phone, and then I can whip out my phone. Like, I don't need to read it on
I don't even need it. Like, you already heard your phone go off. Like, what do you?
What if
like,
Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm in a movie. Maybe I'm on a date. Maybe I'm in a really important meeting.
Still
Ron.
know
You
it went
don't know
off
what
because
type
it
of situation
buzzed.
I got going on.
What if I'm walking around
Complete
CES and there's no way in hell I'm ever going to hear my phone? Like, I use my Pebble
Then
during
that's
CES.
when you use your Pebble. But think about it. That's the only time when you wanted to use it.
It is, yeah. It is the only time.
Like, that's it.
So there is a point for it, you're saying?
Yeah.
So
Just like Google Reader, there's a point for journalists when they're in loud conferences. But outside of that, there's no point.
Damn it, Google Reader. You had to bring that up.
I forgot about that.
All right, well, the poll results basically showed it split. 46% said no, I'm not interested. The other 54 said either yes or I am, can't decide or something. So it's one of those things I think we'll all be watching. I think I'll be watching closer than I will this whole smartwatch race because everyone's failed miserably. So, well, okay, Pebble didn't fail miserably.
Price is going to have a huge thing in it, I think. I think a lot of people were saying that Razer Naboo. I'm telling you, if that thing comes in at the right price, blockbuster.
Did you tell everyone to sign up as a developer to get it for $50 or whatever?
Heck yeah, I did.
Okay,
Everyone's
good.
a developer in my book.
Everyone's a dev.
The video that they put out, that thing did some crazy stuff. I highly, highly doubt that it'll be able to do everything.
That would be called false
promised
advertising. Like
in that video.
I don't think I
I'm
even
sure- I'm
watched
sure
the
it's
video.
gonna do
Tim
some
just told me
type
how awesome it was, and I just said, sign me up, $50, developer
Is this-
edition? Yes. Oh, look, there is a video.
I don't know, that whole
I think it is.
handshake thing where it shares contacts when you
Yeah,
handshake with somebody,
it's fantastic.
I highly doubt they have that set up already.
Is it okay that I'm watching the video
It's
while
not
we're on air?
released yet.
Yeah,
You
totally
can't
fine.
buy it, Eric. Give
I'm
it
just
a
saying.
break. It's coming, baby.
Are you watching
Does
it?
not
Zero?
look
The
good.
promises in that video.
That's
I'm
great.
really
That's
excited.
not- Come on.
I really don't like the
Not
color
really.
scheme, though. I don't want
Oh,
neon green.
Jesus, there could be
Just give me
other
all
colors
black. Just make
coming.
it all
See,
black.
that's why I told you guys to tell Razer to get me one because
That
I'm
is
all
the
about.
one.
I ain't got
It's basically the same as having a Pebble, just it's got a smaller screen.
Look at that.
I'm all about the
Optimized
Razer
sleep
black
alarm.
screen.
There's an
not-
optimized
it's
sleep
not like
alarm.
a
What?
Pebble.
This is riveting, by the way.
You guys
I'm
should
watching
read-
the video right now.
Yeah, read it.
Share
Read it and
interests.
watch it off the air.
Okay, fine.
Don't get
I
it.
think I only had.
Don't get it.
All right, so yeah, smart bed. Let's be better there. You guys want to? Do you guys want to
I just
talk
want to hear
about?
Tim say that again.
You suck, man.
You
You're
guys
the
wanna talk about
worst.
Why am I the worst? I'm sorry I don't like a good product.
You only like Pebble, man. Like I don't want to talk about it.
And I don't
Down
even
the
like Pebble. I have so many
All
problems
right,
with
enough
Pebble.
on the smart bands. Done.
No.
Talking about smart watches.
I'm watching the video again, so you guys were talking about something else. So look at this.
Ron's
thing.
just trolling. Don't
I'm
get
not
it.
trolling. I'm being serious.
I love
You
how
don't
it's
know?
almost like flexing. So every time he has to like turn it up because he has to look at the bottom of his wrist. He's like,
What's up?
new email.
Oh, just checking my
New
notifications.
email.
I'm just telling you, Ron. When it comes out and Verge rates its ecosystem 11 out of 10, you're gonna be like, "That's the greatest thing ever."
No, I'm not. I don't
ecosystem
care with the Verge.
score.
I disagree with the Verge all the time.
No, I'm just saying. I think it looks like. I think it's.
Tim
different.
just wanted to take
And
a
I
dig
like
at the ecosystem score.
Yeah, that's the only way I can. Yeah. I think it's something different, and I'm excited that people are just trying something new. You know, I don't need a watch that has a camera built in or a 1.63 inch, just full color display.
Says the guy that was flying around Vegas in the cab, just going, "Look at this! This is so much fun!"
I'm sorry
snap.
I'm sorry that it seemed like no one in Vegas had ever heard of a smartwatch, and they were all flocking to me like I was a
This is
god.
true. This
Like,
is
yeah, it's rose gold, no big deal.
What is that rose gold thing on your wrist? It's so beautiful.
I'm just using it to pick up chicks, man.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I think that is like what we saw. Was it Flesky who had the keyboard on the Galaxy Gear?
Flexi.
Swipe and
Flexi.
Flexi.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like those are the big things. Like when you get a notification, you can't really do anything with it, and the only thing that we've really seen so far is either canned responses or this crazy little keyboard like on a tiny screen. Like that's like I think we need to change the way that we look at. Not that we need to delve into this more, but like I think we need to change the way that we think about what smartwatches can and should do. Like treating them as a second screen where you can actually interact with things on your phone, I think is wrong. Like it shouldn't be used for that.
Well, smartwatch should not just be a smaller phone. That's not where it should be. Mm-hmm. So, not to keep going this, but there's this Kickstarter that was well funded called Omate the O-Mate True Smart. Well, yeah, besides the Neptune, it's called the O-Mate True Smart, and I think I have one coming. It has a 3G radio in it, all kinds of just ridiculous things. And yeah, I think they partnered with Nuance or something, but maybe theirs is for Dragon dictation. But yeah, we don't need the smartwatch to be a mini phone because you can't do anything on that. I don't want to type on a smartwatch. I don't want to like swipe on a smartwatch. None of that stuff. So.
All right, enough about smartwatch.
Right. Okay, moving. Beats Music coming out January something, 24th maybe.
Next.
Anyone gonna leave whatever they're doing right now for Beats Music?
No.
Well, Helen, we were talking about this the other day, and I'm all about all access. Like I love it. I'm still paying for it. Great for the money. But I was talking to you, man. The user interface just I don't like it.
On Play Music, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, it looks okay, but then I saw the Beats thing come out, and then I'm like, wow, that's different. That's new. So I'm going to check it out just to see how it looks. But I probably won't stay. I do have the username Eric Reese pre-ordered on there, so I'm going to...
Oh, yeah, I locked up Kellen for sure.
That.
Just locked it up.
Locked it up.
Yes, I will also take it for a spin, but I just don't see switching over to it.
It's not going to happen. Only if HTC buys back into it and has some type of control, I won't touch it.
Just so they can sell it back 6 months later.
Ron's the best.
I
like Google.
Love a good troll.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Google Play All Access. I'm still rocking the $7.99 from when it first opened.
Yep.
So, and
wait, when does that expire? By the way, soon? We don't get that for life, do we? Oh, was it for life?
Life.
Okay.
Yeah, during that time period, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought they would kill us on that eventually.
Oh, heck no.
And
Then we go to Beats
privacy
Music.
or something.
When that happens is when we go to Beats Music.
I'm going to iTunes Radio after that happens. While the app could use some improvements, there's a few bugs, as I would call them, in Google Play Music. Like sometimes when you open up the app and there's music already playing, and it pops up like that front, I call it like a shield, because it's like you want to, I don't know why it does that. It's really frustrating. You have to tap on it and drag out, blah, blah, blah. Other than that, there's a great selection of music. Every Tuesday when new albums drop, they're always in there, and they're suggested for me. I'm like, oh, yes, I would love the
Except
new Rick
Beyonce.
Ross.
No Beyonce.
Well, I don't. Sorry, I didn't.
If you have iTunes Match, you get all the Beyonce you want.
That's right.
And the Beatles. I hate not having the Beatles, but other than that, it's okay.
I do like all
There's
access,
one
but...
tiny little thing that bugs me about the app, and this is just going to be me.
No, let's hear it.
When I search for an artist, and I already have the artist in my library, and I have them downloaded, if I search the artist and I start playing it, it doesn't play the music that I have downloaded. It plays the one that they've found.
Yeah.
And it bugs me to no end for no reason, but since we were talking about little bugs that the app has, I just had to let you guys know.
I think I could probably list a handful of them that bug me in there. I'm with you on that. It's a decent app. It needs some work though. Just navigating the thing is a giant pain in the rear. From jumping to the now playing to the current playlist to an actual playlist that you want to play to finding an artist or quickly finding a song, it's not really all that
super weird. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
It's a little cattywampus.
And there's weird issues with it. The iOS app, so you can cache stuff on it, but you can't just show what's cached.
Oh, really?
Which is
on-device only library.
Yeah,
I think.
It's just super annoying.
That's really terrible. Actually, I'll be honest. That sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have to hear that.
Yeah.
But that's all right because.
But it is out of all the services that give you they're kind of unique because you can have your own library plus streaming stuff. That's pretty cool. You can do that for that one price, which is pretty sweet. But there's the Android app has all sorts of weird bugs, and there's that major issue on the iOS app, and that's I wish they would work out a lot of those kinks and really and make the UI simpler. That's the thing. Like you said, Tim, this stupid shield thing coming up. There's just all sorts of weird UI elements that I think could be really simplified. People don't need their music app to be crazy. In fact, that's one of the apps that you want to be really, really simple.
Really simple, yep.
Yeah, and so they're close. I just wish that they would work on that a little bit more and because it is a really, really good product, especially if you're at that $8 price.
Well, I'm sure once they work it out, they'll release it on iOS first, so you're good.
Yeah, I'll be all set, and then I can start paying for it.
So nobody's doing Beats Music. That's what.
No,
No,
well, why would
not.
you bother? I mean, that's the
don't know.
biggest problem with these streaming service. I was on Rdio for a while, which was great, and it's still like it. But like the biggest problem is when you don't have access to music. Like that's the big thing, and so like you're forced to buy it if you really want to get it, and then you're using 2 music apps, and that's crazy making. So.
Well, Beats said that they have access to 20 million songs. Does that sound like not very many? That doesn't sound
not a
like
lot.
very many. Okay. I was going to say that sounds like a low number.
Yeah, for the total library, yeah.
Yeah, for total library. That's
Half
what they
of them are
said,
just
20 million.
bass.
Yeah, yikes. All right, so yeah, no Beats Music for us. We don't have to talk about this for long, but the Moto G Google Play Edition was announced. Can you think of a device in history that made absolutely zero sense whatsoever, other than just another outlet for Motorola to sell this super cheap phone? Do not understand this one. We've talked a lot about how Google Play Edition devices, well, other than Eric, the rest of us think that they don't make any sense. This one, though, what is the point? It's a cheap phone that they've taken any access to Motorola services out of that were actually useful, and then they're still selling it for the same price. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's quite beyond me, and I'm not even going to bring up the fact, okay, I know that the phone is not made for me. I'm just saying the Google Play Edition
Tim
should
hates
not
the Moto
exist.
G so much.
No, it has nothing to do with hating the phone. I'm just saying, like, I understand that people like it, but, like, I'm an Android enthusiast, and I'm not enthused by the Moto G because it doesn't, because it doesn't speak to me, like I want to talk about the super phones and all that stuff. This phone is like $179. I don't really care about it
either.
But
well,
the point is,
the big thing is like why.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Never mind. Go for it, dude. Whatever. It's Moto G Google Play Edition.
Well, that's like I think we all agree. Like it's crazy to have it on like as a Google Play device. Like, and we were talking about that with what was it, the G Tab?
Pad
8.3.
8.3.
These names, like just how like I don't know who that's for. Like there's so many like now that they've like extended beyond the 1 and the S4. Like I don't think anybody's been super interested in anything beyond that.
No. Z Ultra, no thanks.
No.
Although Tim, you really like the
Mini.
G Pad, right? Tim, you like the G Pad though, don't you?
Yeah, I do like the G Pad.
Yeah. But yeah, so Moto G, same price, Google Play Edition, same price, $179 and $199, but it's pure stock Android, so yeah, it'll get updates fast, which Motorola is already doing anyway. So yeah, anyways, let's move out of there. We can also talk about this quickly, but HTC is not updating the 1X and 1X Plus past Android 4.2.2. The 1X is not 2 years old yet, and the 1X Plus is like 14 months old. You have got to be kidding me, HTC. I know you're struggling, and you had to fire probably all of your development team that updates things because you don't have any money. But really, 14 months and no more updates? That's terrible. This is why people hate HTC, by the way. I don't. If you guys ever go in our comments and read about an HTC device, this dates back to the Thunderbolt, to Incredibles, to even the DNA. People won't buy HTC stuff because they don't update phones, and this is just more proof that they don't. I know they've been really good with the 1. That's one phone. What a mess.
Hey, let's not get too crazy there. I think, and I'm posted this the other day, I think the 1X is probably the most underrated Android phone of all time. That was a fantastic phone. Probably still my favorite Android phone to date.
Which one? The 1X?
Whoa.
Yeah, the 1X.
Too far.
Man, I
also,
really like
Tim, where you at? You're supposed to be talking about how, hey, who cares? It's an old phone. Doesn't deserve updates. I'm busy playing your part, man. What are you doing?
Hey, let me give you a little behind-the-scenes Droid Life sneak peek. When I first wrote that piece, I was like, yeah, these phones are like, they are like too old.
Yes.
And I was like, people should expect it. HTC is like out of money, man. They have to focus on
buy
the
new
one.
phones, people. Upgrade.
It's been 14 months. What do you want?
Yeah, and Kellen was like, you might want to rewrite that part, like just so you don't get too much hate. And I was like, what the hell is he talking about? These phones are like old. And
Colin, how come you warned Tim about the hate he's gonna get? You don't give me any.
Yeah.
Because you asked for it. It's different.
And then finally I was like, oh, I guess you're right. The One X isn't even 2 years old officially. So I was like, well, that is crap. So I had to tweak my post a little bit, and then yeah, you totally saved me. Because what they're doing is wrong. I say 2 years and then cut them off. I'm fine with that because that's when contracts end. I do realize that people buy phones after the release dates and their contracts would probably extend the lifespan of the device in that 2 years. That's their problem, not mine. I'm just saying, and that's not the company's problem either. People should buy phones on release dates and expect the support up.
Oh, Tim.
2 years. I'm sorry. Lately I'm just.
Hey, if you disagree with Tim, go ahead and just hit him up on Twitter. Tell him how much he's wrong.
Yep. I'll give you my Twitter, my email.
Like I do.
Take my Snapchat. Send me hateful things.
Tweets, my snaps.
I'm gonna Snapchat you angrily.
You never Snapchat me, so I don't have to worry about that.
Snapchat and bowls of ramen or something like that.
Bowls of
That's
ramen. While you're cooking.
Joke,
Such a weirdo. Oh man.
So in the end, HTC is looking terrible at the moment for not updating past 4.2. They're not even going to 4.3, which isn't even really an update. They're sticking at 4.2.2 on a phone that's 14 months old. Although I'm sure they sold 15 of them because they released the One X Plus way later. It had a Tegra 3 or something.
Tegra 3, LTE, baby.
It was way too late. Yeah, no one cared.
It was late. Although, so for some reason, 4.3 sounds a lot better than 4.2.2.
It does. It sounds better, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the changelog in front of me, but I know it was kind of significant. There isn't one.
There isn't one.
I thought it had something to do with a pulled in notification things. Or
it could have been
like
Bluetooth 4.0 for all I know. It wasn't major. 4.3.
You're absolutely right. 4.3 was like it activated the
Bluetooth or something. Yeah.
You're right. So that maybe.
Which is why Nike doesn't like Android.
Nike hates us so much.
Tim Cook hates Android, not Nike.
Because people don't understand value and quality like
no Android developers or OEMs they don't have the vision that Nike does or whatever terms they use.
The Apple does because they're the only ones qualified or something.
I don't know. All this story did was remind me that I really want to own an HD or a One X just to keep. Because it's my favorite Android phone.
To remember Android 4.22 in
perpetuity. No, when I get it, I'm going to root it and I'm going to trick that thing out. So, guarantee.
All right.
Hey, I've got a Droid Incredible running Android 4.0 that I want to sell you then.
Hey, wow, original Droid was running like 4.1 up.
Yeah, but it wasn't responsive. Mine's responsive.
It was non-responsive.
It was fairly responsive.
I remember the video. It was not responsive. Mine is beautiful.
My toaster was more responsive than that phone. Like, come on, it's ridiculous.
Come on,
my Pre-2 sitting in here is more responsive.
Pre-2? All right, do you guys want to talk apps real quick?
Yeah, we can talk some apps, wrap it up.
Yeah, Tim, what do you got?
What am I rocking today? Oh, man, I just found this, by the way. I don't know if you guys know what this phone is.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's the...
That's a smartphone right there. That's no
What is that thing called?
Dude, beats the hell out of me. I found it at Goodwill for
Neo Geo or
who makes it?
Nokia. It's on
Oh, it's the Nokia.
Look at that.
Nokia.
No, that wasn't the N-Gage. That was the phone version.
Yeah, no, I think that was the N-Gage.
I don't know, but man, boy, is it a piece. Anyway, sorry, I have two things to talk about. First is Lumos. It's a new icon pack that's coming out from our buddy Dave Cover. It's going to be launched later this month. I don't have an exact time frame. I can tell you, I don't think.
The 24th, I think he said. I thought he said the 24th.
Were we supposed to say that, or was that like a maybe?
I think his thing only said January, but sure.
But it's coming out.
Hey, January, coming out.
Sorry, Dave. Sue me. So yeah.
He said publicly January 24th.
Oh, good. All right,
See you then.
So then, publicly in the private beta.
No, shared publicly doesn't mean in private beta.
That's what Google says
in the chat. There you go.
All right, cool. So Lumos, it's really good. I mean, it's kind of hard to display. It's got rounded corners. It kind of reminds me of Nox because it has this has that 3D effect, although it kind of gives it shadow kind of going on too. And yeah, hello to whoever you're talking to, Kellen. But for some reason, it's not even focusing on me. or at least not on my screen. Anyway, so Lumos, be on the lookout January 24th. The game I want to talk about is Colossatron. I know it's been out on Google Play for a little bit, but I've been really busy and holidays and CES, so I didn't really have time to mess with it. I finally downloaded it from Google Play, and it was great. It's like a snake monster from outer space that just pretty much goes around like Godzilla and blows up stuff, and you combine power cells to create powerful tanks and shields, and there's power-ups. And it's from Half Brick Studios, and they did Jetpack Joyride. And I don't know if you know that game. It's very super addictive. Great little graphics, good music, and so yeah, you can expect the same from Colossatron.
Did you say you're a giant robotic worm or something?
Yeah, you're a snake. You're a serpentine character.
I feel like there's another evil worm Colossatron game that we talk about.
There's Mega Worm.
Is that just it? Mega Worm? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Then they just came out with a sequel recently or something?
Mega Worm versus Santa.
Yes, Mega Worm versus Santa. Okay.
Yeah. So, Colossatron, I can't spell it, but I'll link you.
Who would win in a battle? Colossatron or Mega Worm?
Oh, Colossatron.
Okay.
He has rockets and stuff.
He has rockets and stuff.
Mega Worm can't go into outer space. Mega Worm just he zooms around in the dirt.
And if you're listening to the audio, all three of you, that you spell it Colossatron.
Colossatron. And yeah, it's good.
Free?
So, nope, you know what? I believe Colossatron is 99 cents through the Google Play App Store for Android devices. Yeah, and Lumos, I think will probably be $1.99, maybe 99 cents on like a sale or something for the day of. I don't know. But I love Lumos. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be running it on my device right now. Has great wallpapers, although I wish there was more. You know, I love a lot of variety, so I want more wallpapers. And other than that, Colossatron and Lumos. Thanks.
Eric, what do you got?
So I wrote about this app last week, but I've still been using it like crazy. I've been all over the DayZ standalone that got released. And this app is fantastic. So it gives me a map, shows me where I am, tells me where to find stuff, tells me how to keep my guy alive. Great app, and it's free. There's a pro version. You unlock a few extra bits of information if you pay the $1.99. And so far, the guy's been updating it with tons of information. So if you play DayZ, I would highly suggest it. It's called DayZ Central Standalone. You have to get the standalone. There's also one for the mod, the Arma 2 mod. So, yeah, make sure you're getting the right one.
Sweet. I have no apps, I don't think. I don't think I've downloaded anything new recently.
For shame.
I know, I feel bad. I feel like we should talk about apps all the time, but I feel like there's also not that many great apps out there.
We also have a guy for that. No.
Yeah, we kind of do sometimes. Anything else you guys want to talk about? It's already 7:20.
Nope.
All right, sweet. Well,
sorry, I was muted and all my windows went away to the hot corners. I despise hot corners.
I love hot corners.
Turn them off.
Two screens freaking you out.
I don't want to turn them off because sometimes I need them. Sometimes they just kind of get in the way. Sometimes I know. I'm sorry.
Just do a gesture instead. Like what?
I don't think I could live without hot corners.
I want to talk about. Oh, you know what? No, I'll talk about this next week. Never mind. So it's just an app.
Teaser.
It's nothing important.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, sorry. Exclusive.
Come back next week.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anything else then. So,
in the books.
Yeah, first show of the year. Good stuff. We will, I believe, see you next week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, next week. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. Droid Live Show episode 46. Thanks again. See you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.